CIET NCERT presents the audiobook Curiosity, Textbook of Science for Class 6.
Page 207, Chapter 11, Nature's Treasures. School vacations are always fun for Bhumi and Surya. This vacation, they visit their Aji, grandmother. Aji lives in a village on the edge of a forest in the Western Ghats. The air in the village is fresh and cooler than in the city. They can see beautiful hills, streams, and many interesting plants and animals and birds around them. One afternoon, Bhumi and Surya ask Aji to tell them more about the place. Aji says, "Children, do you know that this place has several treasures of nature that enrich our lives? The pure water is refreshing and the soil is so fertile that it supports a variety of living beings. Moreover, this place gets plenty of sunlight, which is useful in many ways. Different varieties of trees provide food and shelter to animals, including various birds and insects. Can you think of more such treasures of nature?" At the bottom of the page is an image of a village where a grandmother is sitting on a chair. Two children are talking to each other. Near the house is a pond. There are goats, lambs, cows close to the house. There is a tree with many birds. Page 208. Bhumi replies, "Aji, we use water for drinking and growing vegetables." Aji says, "Yes, we need these treasures for our survival and for making our lives more comfortable. Without these treasures of nature, any form of life on earth is not possible. We are all part of nature." Aji explains the importance of air around us and how it is essential for our survival. Let us find out more about air. Section 11.1, Air. One morning, Bhumi and Surya see Aji performing some breathing exercises. Aji asks them to join her. She says, "I am taking deep breaths in and letting them out. This helps in getting more fresh air in the lungs to stay healthy." On the left side of the page is an image of Aji sitting under a tree doing breathing exercises. Bhumi and Surya sit with Aji and start taking deep breaths. Let us also perform a breathing exercise. Activity 11.1. Let us experience. 1. Take a deep breath in and then breathe out slowly. 2. Take a deeper breath in again. 3. Hold your breath for as long as you can and then breathe out slowly. 4. How long can you hold your breath? 5. How do you feel when you hold your breath? On the bottom of the page is a cautionary note that says, "Caution, do not hold your breath for so long that you start feeling uncomfortable." From this activity, we find that it is difficult to hold our breath for a long time. The air which we breathe in has oxygen. Our body needs oxygen to perform its functions. When we hold our breath for a long time, the body does not get enough oxygen to perform its functions. Thus, we need oxygen for our survival. Similarly, most of the living beings also need oxygen for their survival. Page 209. On the top of the page is a box that says, "Do you know?" We can survive without food or water for a few days, but we cannot survive without oxygen for even a few minutes. The air which surrounds the earth is a mixture of gases. Can you name some gases which are present in the air? Air contains nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases in small quantities. At the center of the page, there is an image with 100 squares. Out of 100 squares, 78 are occupied by nitrogen, 21 are occupied by oxygen, 1 by argon and carbon dioxide and other gases. At the center of the page is a box that says, "More to know." Percentage is the number of parts in 100. It is denoted by the symbol percent. You notice the presence of air when the leaves of a tree rustle, or clothes hanging on a clothesline sway, or the pages of an open book begin to flutter once the fan is switched on. Moving air is called wind. Sometimes it blows fast, for example, during a storm, and sometimes it blows gently as a breeze. You must have played with a firki, paper pinwheel, many times. Let us make a firki by performing activity 11.2. Page 210. Activity 11.2. Let us make and decorate. 1. Take a square paper of size 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters, a pair of scissors, an awl pin, and a soft stick. 2. Follow the instructions shown in figure 11.2 to make a firki. On the middle of the page is an image that shows the steps to make a firki. The first step is to take a square paper. The second step is to fold the square along its diagonals, almost forming an X. The third step is to cut along the X for about 2/3 of the length. And the fourth step is to fold every alternate corner towards the center. And the fifth step is to pin the firki to the stick using an awl pin. Now you can hold the firki in your hand and run. You can also blow air on it. What do you observe? Does the firki rotate? When you move in a little back and forth, the firki rotates. What makes a firki rotate? It is the wind that makes a firki rotate. The working of a windmill is similar to that of a firki. Wind rotates the wings of a windmill. Windmills can be used to run flour mills, to pull up water from a well, or to generate electricity. In India, there are many windmill farms. A windmill farm is an area that has a large number of windmills which use energy of the wind to generate electricity. On the left side of the page is an image of a windmill farm. On the bottom of the page is a box that says, More to know. Muppandal Wind Farm in Tamil Nadu, Jaisalmer Wind Park in Rajasthan, and Brahmanvel Wind Farm in Maharashtra are some of the leading windmill farms in our country. Find out more other windmill farms in our country. Page 211. We have learnt that air is very important for us. Water too is essential and precious for us. How do you feel when you cannot get water to drink, especially when you are thirsty? Let us find out more about water. Section 11.2. Water. Bhumi and Surya help Aji in filling the troughs of water for the cows. They also help her in watering plants such as vegetables and medicinal herbs in the garden. Aji teaches them to water plants so that every drop is used and none of it goes waste. At the center of the page is an image that shows Aji watering the plants with Bhumi and Surya. Can you think of some more uses of water in your daily life? Write down your responses. At the center of the page is a conversation between two school children. The schoolgirl says, "We need water for drinking." In the space provided, write what are the other uses of water in our daily life. We need water for many daily activities such as drinking, cooking, bathing, washing, and cleaning. It is also used for growing crops and for industrial purposes. Where do we get water from? Make a list of the different sources of water. Water covers about 2/3 of the Earth's surface. Most of the water is found in oceans and seas. However, this water is saline or salty. This saline water is not fit for domestic, agricultural, and industrial use. For all these activities, we need fresh water, which is present in the form of ice sheets or snow, rivers or lakes, on the surface of the earth and underground. Fresh water present in ice sheets and snow or underground water is difficult to access. Page 212. A very small fraction of the fresh water present in ponds, rivers, lakes, and wells is easily accessible. Water is precious. That is why Aji guides them to use it with care. Do you feel that water is being used efficiently in our daily activities? Have you observed water being wasted in your daily activities? Let us find out activities where water is wasted and how this wastage can be reduced. Activity 11.3. Let us find out. Fill the column 2 and column 3 in table 11.1. Table 11.1. Wastage of water in your daily activities. This table has 3 columns. The first column is activity and it includes hand washing, washing clothes, washing utensils, taking shower, cooking, gardening and brushing teeth. The second column is how water is wasted and the third column is suggest ways to reduce the wastage of water. In the following 7 rows, you have to fill the corresponding columns of how water is wasted and suggest the ways to reduce the wastage of water. What conclusions can you draw from the information you gathered in this table? What can you and your family do to reduce this wastage of water? There are many ways to reduce wastage of water. For example, turning off taps when not in use and fixing water leakages. Recycling water and water harvesting also help in saving water. Our country is blessed with numerous rivers, streams and lakes. Have you ever noticed plastic bags and wrappers floating on the surface of water? We pollute freshwater sources by throwing trash, waste material in them. Page 213. Waste from homes and industries pollute our water sources when it is dumped into them. Identify other human activities that lead to water pollution. Discuss with your friends in the class what can you do to reduce water pollution. Polluted water is not fit for consumption by living beings. As freshwater sources are limited, there is a shortage of water in many parts of India. At some places, people have to walk long distances to fetch drinking water. Everyone does not have the same kind of access to water. It is important for us to conserve water and use it judiciously. We must also prevent it from being polluted so that water remains fit for consumption by all living beings. In what ways can you conserve water? Water harvesting is one of the methods of conserving water. In many buildings, rainwater is collected and stored in large quantities for later use. This is called rainwater harvesting. At the right side of the page is an image of a house with a rainwater harvesting facility. Do you know that rainwater is also harvested in many homes, residential societies, or schools? It is an age-old practice in India. For example, step wells, commonly known as bawadis in Rajasthan and Vav in Gujarat, are built for water harvesting as a response to the scarcity of water in these regions. At the bottom of the page is an image of a step well known as Bawdi in the state of Rajasthan and Vav in the state of Gujarat. These step wells have a unique system of water harvesting. They store not only rainwater but also water seeping from nearby lakes, ponds and rivers. The walls of the trenches, long deep holes dug in the ground, are lined with blocks of stones that allow seepage of water. Find traditional water harvesting practices in your locality. Discuss with your teachers and parents to learn more about it. Page 214. On the top of the page is a box that says, "Do you know?" World Water Day is observed on 22nd March every year. Find out its importance. In the chapter, A Journey Through the States of Water, we have learnt about water cycle, where sun plays an important role in evaporation of water. Have you ever observed your mother or grandmother cut raw mangoes and expose them to the hot sun for several days to dry? Let us explore more about energy from the sun. Section 11.3 Energy from the sun. On a sunny day, Bhumi and Surya are helping Aji dry chilies in the sun. Aji says, "We use the heat from the sun to dry it. We can use dried chilies when fresh ones are not available. I will give you some to take home." Do you know that sun is the main source of energy on earth? All plants and animals are dependent on it. We use heat and light from the sun for various purposes. What are some of the activities for which we need heat and light? Bhumi draws some pictures to show the uses of heat and light from the sun. In the middle of the page is an image that shows the plants using sunlight to make food. The second image drawn by Bhumi is that of drying of clothes under the sun. On the next three boxes, draw the pictures and write their descriptions in the space provided. One afternoon, Bhumi and Surya pass by the field near Aji's house where they see a cow grazing the grass. They talk about the sun being the main source of energy. Read the conversation carefully and answer. Page 215. At the center of the page is a cow grazing grass in a field. Bhumi says, "Look at this cow. It is grazing grass and getting energy from it." "No, I think this cow is getting energy from the sun," says Surya. Bhumi then says, "The cow is standing in the sun, but it does not mean that it is getting energy from the sun." Surya then says, "The cow is eating grass. Grass leaves need sunlight to grow, so the main source of energy is the sun. This way, the cow gets energy from the sun." At the center of the page is a question box which asks, "According to you, whose statement is correct and why?" Sunlight helps plants prepare food. The sun also provides all living beings on earth with heat and light. It is their main source of energy. At the center of the page is a box that says, "Do you know?" In many households in India, water is offered to the sun early in the morning as an expression of gratitude to the sun. Have you seen solar panels on rooftops, on top of street lights or traffic signals? The solar panels capture the sun's energy and produce electricity. Energy from the sun can also be used directly for cooking in a solar cooker or for heating water in a solar water heater. At the bottom of the page is an image showing the uses of solar energy like solar water heater and solar panels. Page 216. At the top of the page is a question box that says, "What will happen if the sun is not visible for a few days?" 1. We may have to depend on artificial lighting during the day also. Fill in the points 2 and 3. One cannot imagine life on earth without the sun. The sun is the main source of energy on earth. Plants get energy from sun and produce food. Animals eat plants and grow. We get food from both plants and animals. This cycle on earth is possible due to the sun. So we are all dependent on the sun as the main source of energy. Where do we find a large variety of plants or animals? Let us explore. Section 11.4 Forests. One morning, Aji takes Bhumi and Surya for a walk in the forest. They find a variety of herbs, shrubs, and trees in the forest. Aji explains, forests are large areas with dense growth of various types of plants. On the way, they collect some nilkai, a Kannada term for Indian gooseberries that have fallen on the ground. Aji tells them, "We have a tradition in the village not to pluck fruits from the trees. They are left for animals and birds to eat." At the bottom of the page is an image of a forest where Aji is picking berries with her grandchildren. There are deers also in the image. Page 217. Discuss with your friends and make a list of at least 5 products that we get from forests. Forests are a natural home for many wild animals, including birds and insects. Forests provide food and shelter to them. In nature, every animal depends on other life forms for survival. The diversity of life forms ensures food for every living being. However, over the years, the forest cover has been decreasing, mainly due to human activities like large-scale cutting of trees. It takes many years to grow a new forest or to restore lost forests. Therefore, we must preserve and use forests responsibly so that they get enough time to regenerate. Van Mahotsav is a week-long event celebrated across the country during the month of July. It is a forest festival during which new plants and trees are planted and awareness about respecting forests is raised. The aim of the event is to increase the green cover. You too can plan a Van Mahotsav in your community. On the center of the page is a question box that asks, what are the consequences of cutting a large forest area? Make a presentation or do a role play or write a story or a poem that shows what could happen if we continue to cut down trees in our forests. At the bottom of the page is a box that says, "Do you know?" There is also an image of ladies forming a protective circle around the tree. From ancient times, India has had a tradition of respecting, protecting, and preserving forests. You have already learned about sacred groves in the chapter Diversity in the Living World. Many efforts have been made by common people to prevent the cutting of trees and thus saving forests. One such effort is the famous Chipko movement. It started in the early 1970s in Uttarakhand, previously part of Uttar Pradesh. Local women actively participated in this movement. They encircled and hugged the trees to protect them from being felled. Page 218. During their walks in the forests, Bhumi and Surya notice that there are a lot of leaves on the ground and the soil feels damp. Aji explains, the roots of the plant hold on to the soil and prevent it from being washed away. The leaves that fall from the trees decay and enrich the soil with nutrients. This soil is used by new plants and trees to grow. This is an example of recycling in nature. Let us investigate the soil in more detail. Section 11.5. Soil, Rocks and Minerals. Bhumi, Surya and Aji come back home from the forest. Bhumi and Surya help Aji in preparing the soil in the garden for planting some vegetables. On the right side of the page is the image of grandmother planting vegetables with her grandchildren. Aji asks them to dig the soil gently and loosen the lumps. You have already learnt in the chapter Living Creatures exploring their characteristics that for plants to grow, the space between the soil particles not only provides sufficient air but also space for roots to grow easily. Bhumi and Surya could see small pebbles, the roots of plants, and a few earthworms too in the soil. Do you realize that earthworms are natural agents that help in turning and loosening the soil? While Bhumi, Surya help Aji, let us do our own experiment by performing activity 11.4. Activity 11.4. Let us investigate. At the end of the page on the left side is a cautionary box that says, Caution. Remember to wash your hands thoroughly after touching soil collected from different places. Sometimes soil that has garbage carries germs that may be harmful to us. 1. Collect samples of soils from different areas around your home and school. 2. Guess what could be there in different soils. 3. Observe carefully each soil sample and note its color. Page 219. 4. Touch each soil sample and feel its texture. 5. Observe the soil samples with your naked eye. If you have a magnifying lens, look at the soil through it. 6. Record your observations in Table 11.2. Table 11.2 Soil Samples. This table has 4 columns. The first column is the location from which soil sample was collected. The second column says what I guessed about the soil. The third column is the observation of soil with naked eye, including its color and texture. Fourth column is observation of soil with a magnifying lens. In the following 3 rows, fill respective columns. Is there any difference between your guess and what you can actually observe when you look closely? Do you see any difference in the soil samples taken from different places? Do you see differences in what you are able to observe with your naked eye and what you can observe with a magnifying lens? There are many things in the soil, such as sands, insects, and worms. There may be many small organisms that we cannot see with our naked eyes. Plants and animals also become part of the soil as they decompose and decay. The soil samples collected from different places may be of different colors because they may contain different materials. Have you ever wondered how soil is formed? Soil is formed by the disintegration, breaking apart of the rocks by actions of sun, water, and living organisms over a long time, thousands of years. At the bottom of the page is an image of a farmer plowing through his field. There are different types of soils. Some are good for growing certain types of plants, while some are good for making bricks for buildings. Page 220. Forests have a variety of soils. Soil is a precious treasure that supports biodiversity. You may have seen rocks in your surroundings. Rocks are used in the construction of houses, buildings, temples, roads, dams, and tabletops. Some rocks, like slate, are used for roofing, and laterite can be used as a building material like bricks. At the center of the page are images showing the uses of the rocks. Some of the important rocks are granite, sandstone, and marble. Human beings have been using rocks to make tools such as hand axes and arrowheads since thousands of years. What are rocks made up of? Rocks are made up of minerals. Important metals such as aluminum, gold, copper, and iron are extracted from minerals. Minerals are used in the manufacturing of planes, cars, jewelry, cosmetics, and electrical and electronic equipment. The image of rocks used for roofing is shown, followed by laterite rocks used as bricks. There are also images of hand axes and arrowheads made from stone. At the bottom of the page, there is an image of mining of marble. Page 221. For example, the basic mobile phones that we use contain about a dozen minerals like gold, silver, copper, cobalt, etc. At the center of the page are images of naturally occurring gold and some minerals found in nature. Rocks play a vital role in our lives. It takes thousands to millions of years to form rocks. Therefore, it is important to conserve and use them responsibly. Do you know how rocks and minerals are transported from one location to another? Most vehicles that we use for transportation use fossil fuels. Let us explore more about fossil fuels. Section 11.6 Fossil Fuels. At the bottom of the page is an image that shows the conversation between Surya and Bhumi. In the image, there is also a scene from a fuel station. Bhumi says, Surya, why do different types of vehicle go to different filling stations? Surya says, the reason is that they use different types of fuels. For example, petrol and diesel. Page 222. Let us explore more about it by performing Activity 11.5. Activity 11.5. Let us conduct a survey. 1. Conduct a survey of vehicles in your neighborhood. 2. Which type of vehicles are there? What types of fuel do they use? Record the information that you collect in Table 11.3. Table 11.3. Types of vehicles and fuels used. In this table, there are two columns, type of vehicle and the second, type of fuel. In the 4 rows, fill in these two columns. What are the most common types of fuels used? Petrol and diesel are the two most widely used fuels for vehicles. Petrol, diesel, and kerosene are obtained from petroleum. Petroleum, along with natural gas and coal, are commonly called fossil fuels. They are formed essentially from the remains of microorganisms and plants that got buried deep inside the earth and were converted to petroleum, natural gas, and coal. It takes millions of years for these fuels to form. Natural gas is used for cooking and generating electricity. Nowadays, it is also used in the form of compressed natural gas, CNG, as a fuel for vehicles. It is a cleaner fuel than petrol or diesel. Coal is mainly used for the production of electricity. It is found in several parts of India. Find out the major coal-producing states and mark them in a map of India. At the bottom of the page is a box that says, Do you know? Earlier, coal, wood, and dung cakes were used as fuels for cooking. Nowadays, less polluting natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, have gradually replaced these domestic fuels. Page 223. At the top of the page are images showing coal, petrol, and natural gas. Fossil fuels are found in limited quantities. Hence, we will soon run out of fossil fuels if we continue to use them in the manner that we currently do. To avoid such a situation, we need to explore alternate sources of energy. When fossil fuels are burnt, smoke and carbon dioxide gas are produced, which pollutes the air. Overdependence on fossil fuels for transportation and as domestic fuels has resulted in large-scale air pollution. In the center of the page, there is a box that says, Let us do our bit to conserve the fossil fuels by walking or cycling to nearby places, using public transport. Suggest some more ways. Section 11.7 Natural Resources, Renewable and Non-Renewable. Nature's treasures fulfill our needs. They are essential resources to sustain all life forms on the earth. For example, we get heat and light from the sun, water from rivers, and food from plants and animals. These resources, which we get from nature, are called natural resources. We also use natural resources to make many useful things for our convenience. For example, electric bulbs, furniture, solar panels, bicycles, etc. make our lives comfortable. All such resources created by human beings are called human-made resources. You have learnt about various natural resources such as air, water, energy from the sun, forests, soil, rocks, minerals, and fossil fuels. Some of these natural resources get replenished through natural processes over a period of time. Page 224. If you remember, Aji told Bhumi and Surya that they could collect only those nilkai that had fallen on the ground. This makes sure that there would be enough fruits for other animals and birds. The seeds from the droppings of the animals and birds would enable new trees to grow, though it would take some years before we get fruits from these new trees. Thus, resources which get renewed, replenished, or restored within a reasonable period of time are called renewable resources. Air, water, and forest are some of the examples of renewable natural resources. Nature renews them. We should use our natural resources judiciously. On the other hand, fossil fuels take millions of years to form. They are found in limited quantities, and once used, they get exhausted. They are not produced or replenished within a reasonable period of time. These resources are called non-renewable resources. Examples of non-renewable natural resources are minerals, soil, rocks, coal, petroleum, and natural gas. Section 11.8. Resources we use. It is time for Bhumi and Surya to go back home after a wonderful holiday at their Aji's home. Their Amma, mother, comes to pick them up. Bhumi and Surya show her the vegetable plants that have started to grow in the garden and the dried chilies given by Aji to take home. They notice change in the color of the skyline and the smell of the air once they reach the city. There are very few trees. The air does not smell as good as the air at Aji's place. They can smell smoke from the vehicles. The air is polluted. Amma says, yes, when we use fossil fuels in our vehicles, smoke is generated. Now there are vehicles which cause less pollution. For example, there are electric vehicles that do not release any smoke. So people are making an effort to create alternatives. Can you list some alternatives for reducing air pollution? At the bottom of the page, space is given to answer this question. We use many natural resources in our everyday life. Let us identify some resources that we use by performing Activity 11.6. Activity 11.6. Let us make a list of natural resources used. Make a list of activities you do in your daily life and write down the natural resources that were used directly or indirectly for each activity. In Table 11.4, some items are already filled. Using them as a guide, fill the remaining blank rows. Table 11.4. Natural resources used. In this table, there are two columns. The first column is the activity, which includes washing clothes, making clay toys, collecting firewood, making kites, having breakfast, and a space for an activity of your own choice. The second column is that of the natural resource which is used to do the activity, like water is used for washing clothes. Fill in the remaining rows corresponding to the natural resources that were used directly or indirectly for each activity. How many natural resources did you list? Compare your list with that of your friend. You and your friends have listed many natural resources that we use every day. These resources are air, water, soil, and food from plants and animals. We get these resources from nature and also make things using them for our consumption. Therefore, we must conserve our natural resources and use them responsibly without wasting them. This way, we can continue to fulfill our present needs while also saving for the future without harming the environment. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not for every man's greed. M. K. Gandhi. Page 226. Keywords from this chapter: air, coal, forest, fossil fuels, human-made resources, natural gas, natural resources, non-renewable resources, petroleum, renewable resources, resources, rocks, soil, sun, water, rainwater harvesting. Classify, experience, explore, investigate, observe, survey. Summary and key points. First, resources required for our survival are provided by nature. Second, resources provided by nature are called natural resources. Third, some important natural resources are air, water, energy from the sun, forest, soil, rocks, minerals, and fossil fuels. Fourth, resources created by human beings to meet their needs are called human-made resources. Fifth, natural resources can be classified as renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Sixth, resources that get renewed, replenished, or restored by natural processes within a reasonable period are called renewable resources. Seventh, resources that are limited in quantities and do not get replenished within a reasonable period are called non-renewable resources. Eighth, all living beings, including humans, depend on natural resources for their survival, so we should use them judiciously. Page 227. Let us enhance our learning. Question 1. In the middle of the page, there is a table with 2 columns. In the first column, the names of resources are given. In the second column, the jumbled up name of the resource is given. Match them with their jumbled up names. Make another table and write the names of these resources. Classify these resources as renewable or non-renewable. Column 1, item. Column 2, jumbled up name. Question 2. State whether the following statements are true or false. If false, correct them. 1. Nature has all the resources to meet human needs. 2. Machines are a resource found in nature. 3. Natural gas is a non-renewable resource. 4. Air is a renewable resource. Page 228. Question 3. Fill in the blanks using the most appropriate option. 1. A fuel that is commonly used in two-wheelers like scooters or bikes is. Fill in the blanks using option A, kerosene, B, petrol, C, diesel, D, LPG. 2. An example of a renewable resource is. Fill in the blank using the option A, coal, B, water, C, natural gas, and D, petrol. Question 4. Classify as renewable or non-renewable resources: coal, natural gas, forest, and minerals. Question 5. Why do we say that petroleum is a non-renewable resource? Question 6. It is difficult to regrow forests. Justify this statement. Question 7. Make a list of 5 daily activities in which you use natural resources. Suggest ways by which you can reduce their use. 8. List 4 activities that are possible due to the presence of air. Question 9. How can you contribute towards enhancing the green cover of your locality? Make a list of the actions to be taken. Question 10. In the given illustration, the image of food being cooked is given. Answer the following questions. 1. What type of energy is being used for cooking? 2. Name one benefit and one drawback of using this type of energy for cooking. Question 11. Cutting down trees on a large scale impacts the quality of the soil. Why do you think so? Question 12. Explain two ways in which human activities pollute the air. Propose one action that can help in reducing air pollution. Page 229. Question 13. A family uses solar panels to generate electricity, a gas stove to cook food, and a windmill for pumping water from a well. What would happen if there were no sunlight for a week? Question 14. Fill up the blanks using the following terms: fossil fuels, forest, air, petroleum, coal, water, and non-renewable resources. At the center of the page is an organogram image of natural resources. Fill in the blank spaces using the words provided. Question 15. There is an increasing demand of trees to meet the requirements of industries and for housing. Therefore, trees are being felled. Is it justified? Discuss and prepare a brief report. Question 16. Propose a plan to use less water in your school. What steps would you take to make this plan happen, and how would it help the environment? Learning further. 1. Rainwater harvesting is an age-old practice in India. Find out some of the traditional rainwater harvesting techniques being used in your state or other parts of the country. Page 230. 2. Investigate the effect of air pollution on human health by interacting with your elders or community members and identify the main sources of air pollution in your local area. Based on your findings, suggest 2 practical steps that your school or community could take to help reduce air pollution. 3. Prepare a list of the names and use of important minerals and rocks that are used in your village, town, city for various purposes. 4. You are an eco club monitor. Organize a tree plantation drive in your school with the help of your teacher. List the steps required for organizing this activity. Prepare a 1-page report listing the names of the trees planted along with their importance. Chapter 11 ends here.
Curiosity. You were just listening to this audiobook, Textbook of Science for Class 6. Narration, Dr. Pranita Gopal. Technical coordination, Bati Langlingdo. Sound recordist, Virendra Rawat. Assistance in production, Amarjeet Sarkar. Directed and produced by Vimlesh Chaudhary. This audiobook is brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.